My mom and dad were married in October of 1992, and 5 years later, on April 2nd, 1997, I came along. Although my parents got divorced before I was turned 3 years old, they both made a promise to each other that they would remain friends and cordial so that I grew up in a loving and stress-free environment, which is something I have always been grateful for. Let's start with my dad, Mark Albert Lowe. On the outside, my dad has always been critical, surly, and sometimes very stubborn, but beneath all that, my dad is a big softie. My sense of humor and constant sarcasm can easily be rooted back to my father, but he has also influenced my adventurous spirit and love for nature. Every year, since I was 4 years old, my father would take me to Montana over the summer, where we would camp, hike, ride horses, and spend the day on the lake. This is my mom, Jane Margaret Mathis. As well as looking exactly the same, my mom and I have very similar personalities. She taught me about unconditional love and forgiveness, something I value in myself to this day. Even though my mother and I fight a lot, I don't know where I'd be without her. She's easily my best friend.
As something new, though I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before. I know I'll often stop and think about them.
Growing up, I was the definition of a tomboy, thinking I was going to be a professional surfer when I grew up. But like most things in my life, I soon got over it. This is my cat, Kyrie. I've had her since I was 4 years old, and even though she constantly scratches and bites me, I will always love her.
Oh, I know I'll never lose affection.
This past summer, my mom got married, causing a huge change in my life. The joining of my mom and my stepdad Bob also brought in two stepsisters and a stepbrother. My sister Maddie is only a couple months older than me, and we instantly clicked. Lexi, my other stepsister, is 26, making us not as close, but we get along great. Lastly, there's my brother Dylan, which everyone calls Bear because of his size. Despite the fact that Bear eats all of my food and we share a bathroom, which is another story in itself, he's a very generous and cool guy. Another addition to our family was our puppy, Geddy Lee. And yes, he's named after the lead singer of the band Rush, because why not? Saying I love volleyball would be considered an understatement. I started playing when I was 11 years old, and it was like love at first sight. It continues to be the one thing in my life that I constantly strive to be my best in. Volleyball has always been the one thing I look forward to in the week, and while some can't stand the 10-hour tournaments every weekend, I revel in them. Since I am an only child, I was extremely independent, which sometimes made me quite selfish. Volleyball taught me how to think outside of my own needs and look at the big picture. Or in other words, there is no I in team. Not only has volleyball taught me critical life lessons, I have met some of my closest friends because of the sport. One of them being Sarah. Initially, Sarah was quote-unquote afraid of me, and I wasn't exactly too warm with her considering my aggressive competitiveness, and we played the same position. But later in the season, we realized we were basically the same person, and in a matter of a couple of weeks, we became extremely close. I can easily say that she is the one person I can come to with any of my problems without the fear of judgment. Sarah is only a sophomore, and I will definitely be cheering her on her last 2 seasons as a Patriot and even beyond that. My favorite memory with her just occurred 2 weeks ago when we snuck into the pit at the K-Rock Weenie Roast. It was definitely a night to remember. Although most of my friendships I have made through volleyball, nothing will ever beat my squad, or also known as the Love Nest. Let's start with Diana. Diana is hands down my best friend above all else. Sometimes we fight, but we can never stay mad at each other for more than a couple of days. I always have fun when I'm with her, whether it's going to Disneyland, Laguna, Santa Monica, LA. being each other's dates to homecoming and winter formal, eating an entire box of M&M donuts, or simply just watching Family Feud in her room. There's never a dull moment with her. Love you, fam. Nicole is like the mom of our group, and if you look at her right now, she's probably rolling her eyes. But really, Nicole not only keeps everyone in check, but I consider her to be like my rock, and a person I know I will remain close with in the future. Nicole also helped me experience new things I thought I would never like forcing me to go to a Justin Timberlake concert, which ended up not being that horrible. One thing though, Nicole, I will never get into is country. Sorry, not sorry. This beautiful photo is of my friend Jordan Crawford. Jordan and I have known each other a majority of our life, but never really became close until our sophomore year, when we played on the same volleyball team. Even though Jordan is pretty cool, her dad is obviously the coolest. Nick Ruoff is easily the weirdest kid I've ever met in my entire life, but he's also like the little brother I've never had. Another one of my passions would be going to concerts. The first concert I ever went to was Five for Fighting with my dad when I was 10 years old, which solidified my love for all things rock and roll. My favorite hobby besides volleyball is collecting vinyl. I have 3 record players in my house, and even forced my parents to buy me another one that would be small enough to fit into my dorm room. Since I am not entirely sure what I want to do with my life, whether it be marine bio or psychology, I will be attending Cuesta College for the next 2 years, located in San Luis Obispo, where I will figure out my life and play volleyball at the same time. My goal after these 2 years at Cuesta is to travel the world and end up at my dream school, UC Santa Cruz.